Okay, so it's been a few months since I've released a video. Basically was waiting to get another Broadway Limited locomotive out of layaway. And now that I've gotten it out, I've decided to make a short review video, although it'll probably end up being longer than I hope. But basically, for those of you who've been following my channel for a while or noticed my other videos, you'll notice that one time I had a I1sa 210 Decapod, Pennsylvania locomotive. They had the overland tender. I decided to go ahead and sell that locomotive, and I instead have purchased a replacement, which is the same locomotive, except for it has the shorter tender. And it's also a Paragon 3 locomotive, whereas the old one was a Paragon 2. Unfortunately, I kind of feel like I was a bit underwhelmed with this locomotive. I had a couple problems with it. First of all, I guess for expectations, after I saw like the H10 and then the other locomotives that I just recently purchased that are the Paragon 3 line, they had a lot of new detailed features. Like one of the things I really liked was the lit marker lights that they were putting on the locomotives. The new one though, this I1s, basically they've just gone back to having like the light reflecting jewels. They don't light up or anything, which I thought, I don't know, I thought that was a cool feature, and the fact that they didn't really add that to this locomotive when they rebranded it as a Paragon 3 was kind of disappointing. Really, the only thing that seems to be new with this locomotive is that it has the Paragon 3 electronics, so you now have the Rolling Thunder sound capabilities if you've purchased that sound system for your layout. Otherwise, it really just seems to be the same locomotive. It runs very smooth. It has, the sounds are good. The smoke seems to work really well. So, I mean, it's a decent locomotive. But I was kind of expecting a little bit more, just based on what I've seen with some of the other locomotives that they've brought out. And another disappointing thing was that when I bought the locomotive, the front boiler plate was all messed up. I have a picture here, but you can see that basically the number plate was smashed off along with the steps on the sides, and then you'll see that there's chips in it. And basically I attribute this to the fact that they've started packaging it a little different. They used to have that little plastic like shield thing that would sit over the front of the locomotive and protect those parts. In this new box, and I'll show you right here, you can see that basically what they've done is they put this little foam thing in, and I've gone ahead and pulled it out, or actually the hobby shop pulled it out for me. But basically I think the engine was sitting there when it moved around shipping and just busted all those pieces off. Fortunately, I was able to take it back to my hobby shop, and they were able to fix the problem. But yeah, so they need to go back to putting that little plastic shield, because I've never had this problem before with the Broadway locomotive. And then for a little bit of history on the locomotive, basically the early prototypes for the engine came out in 1916. This was kind of an attempt to build a heavier freight locomotive than the H10, and so they came out with this design. From what I've read before, they had quite a few of these. If I remember right, they built, I want to say 200 or 300 of these locomotives were eventually built for the Pennsylvania Railroad. But I also know that they had a problem because, they're a 10-wheeled locomotive, that they did not run very smooth. And a lot of engineers really hated how rough they operated. But they were, a pretty heavy-duty workforce, and they were pretty much used up to the end of steam by the Pennsylvania Railroad. And this model does a pretty good job with the detail. Like I said, it's pretty much a replacement for the other locomotive, and it seems to really hold up to that one as far as the detail. It just has the different tender. So I'd say overall, I'm satisfied with this engine, but I was a little disappointed that they didn't continue the continued improvement in some of the details that they had done on other Paragon 3 locomotives. So I'll take it as it is. It's still a good locomotive. I would still recommend it, but just be forewarned that some of the extra features that you might be becoming accustomed to with the Paragon 3, they did not add that to this locomotive when they repopped it as a Paragon 3.